put in all meters through town. And since our system's much smaller than y'all's, we don't have to ride around. It goes direct to town hall several times a day. So, like the other day, they called me and said the church was leaking, 40 gallons an hour. So I went up there and found a commode running, which helped everybody a lot. But, and our plan is to put these same meters in with Handy's master meters. So we can tell, it should help us both out really, because we can tell when y'all have a leak right away. It'll send it. Angel, what is it send it to y'all 2 or 3 times a day, the master, the readers?
It sends an update hourly.
Okay.
And so, staff can pull it up at any time. And if, like, you called in at 3 o'clock, we'll have reading through 2 o'clock. So it's really nice.
So that, we
It's
hope that will help both of us as far as getting on them quicker. Because that's what's killing our plants sometimes is these leaks. Both of us have, not just y'all, but we have them too. So that's one of the things. Interconnection. I know we've talked about interconnection in the past. Y'all need it and we need it, so we need to figure out a way that we can get it. Because I know y'all can get from Davison, and we might get a trickle through y'all from Davison, but it'd just be a trickle, I would think, wouldn't it, Darryl?
That depends on what you want.
I mean, now.
Right now, there is no connection, because the only connection is over at 47, where near Thermo.
Yeah.
And that meter's been locked out for 15 years, except for when, Angel called and asked if you all could do an investigation of the low pressure that you had over there on Spring Street and Broad and
yeah.
Spring. And your guy came over and did a bunch of tests, and as soon as that was over, we locked that meter back out.
Yeah, does that meter affect y'all when it's on? Is that,
No,
so you don't care whether it's on or not?
no, it's locked out. It's permanently locked out, so
What do you
it's
mean?
not operational.
Okay, but that's y'all's choice, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
when it was operational, Justin Sullivan has been with us for 20 years, please. And he said that the problem with that meter was when we filled our tank up to the maximum height, it would cause that meter to run backwards. And that they tried to put a new valve in.
Check valve.
And check valve, and that didn't solve the problem, that the meter was running backwards, which was actually costing you, because the meter was running the opposite way.
Yes.
So that's why I was told, and I confirmed that with him last week, that it's still locked out, and he said it has not been operational for 15 years, except for that week that Angel called and asked to do that.
Because we thought it might help us to make it operational, but I don't think it made a difference. I think that's what they said, wasn't it?
No, it did not seem to make any difference. And, actually, they saw a difference at the water plant side, putting water into the system, so it was pulling it at an odd rate.
And we were still waiting on you all, because you had asked if it would be possible, because the problems of low pressure that you had in that subdivision on Broad and Spring,
Right.
if you could make a connection to the line that goes up to our North Main tank. And we said, yeah, we'd consider that to be, just get an engineering drawing to get it
Yeah.
done and everything. Put a meter there and put that meter measuring what is coming out of our tank into your system.
Right.
Just subtract that from the other 4 meters when you read the 4 meters, and it seems like it's a pretty simple thing to do. If you want to do that, you're welcome to do that.
Yeah, we talked about it, but I think it wasn't gonna gain us anything, wasn't that right?
That is
Or
correct.
What we were told.
What we were told, and then, so Wooten Engineering is actually working on our hydraulic studies. They've been in town, placing pressure assist valves and stuff on the hydrants to check to see what the flow is. So they've still got a couple weeks more testing, and we'll know better about what we've got and what can maybe help change that. So it may be still an option on the table that we need to look at.
Yeah, we just don't have any pressure up there. We had to put in individual pumps at each house to get them enough pressure to brush your teeth about.
And that'll get old in a hurry.
Yeah, cause they're gonna start going out for long, you know?
They're not gonna have the service frequency or service capabilities that a bigger system would
Yeah.
have.
And they've been in 3 years, and we've had one to go bad, and I figure, you know, it's just a matter of time, cause they're just small pumps, booster pumps in the house. What else did I have here to talk about? One thing was quarterly meetings, we'll be sure we get quarterly meetings back going. I think if we ever have any problems, that's where our problem is with communication. And I did notice on the contract, it didn't have, the cost of water, it don't have a figure when you go over your 1.25 in 30 days. The old contract did, I think. And I don't think you've done that any or very little, but that's just something we need to address sometime.
Well, I dug around, Lisa helped me find the documents that were all being talked about not long before, but before I got here. I've been here 10 years now, and it was, I think, the year before that all the calculations and all the work was being done. In the information that we had on the settlement agreement, there was one version that did have an extra charge for anything over 1.125.
Right.
But the final agreement that was done doesn't have it in there. I don't know any reason why it did or didn't. I don't know anything about why it was dropped out.
Yeah, I know the old one had one prior to this.
Yeah.
But, you know, that, especially this summer, that may come up more and more.
So
Well,
what
I'm sorry, go ahead, Dan.
what capacity is your plant running at?
Well, it's a 2.25 million gallon a day plant.
And what-
But in cold water, it's not running, it won't run that.
But what does it but I mean, with us buying water from y'all, what, do you have any idea where you're at? What, I mean,
Capacity wise,
yeah, like on a normal day?
not, I could say, but it may not be right.
Okay, I'm just curious.
We're guessing that you're about 1.25 per day.
I would say you probably on a normal day without the leaks and everything, but,
Or now, we're not on a weekend, a holiday weekend at the lake or anything like that.
Right.
It's probably about
yeah,
1.25.
that's perfect.
This time of year.
Yeah.
Cause y'all were running 800,000,
Yeah.
something like that, we're running 100,000, something like that, I believe it is.
We can pull definite figures on that. I'm like you, I could say, but it might not be
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
So,
And Mayor, if I could make a comment?
Sure. We're all friends.
This is not a negative comment, this is just a comment. It's, the state requires for a water plant to be planning for the future once it reaches 80% of its permitted capacity.
Right.
80%. And yours, my estimate is that you're in the 55% range for capacity. So you still got a lot of room
Yeah, we
to
still got
grow.
some room.
Now, it may mean that you have to switch off of 210s to go to 24/7 in order to get to where you need to go to.
Right.
Or you may need to have to do that when you look at things like very cold times of the year.
And we had to go to that. during
Yeah.
this
Or
cold
when-
weather,
or
nobody
when-
put on a lot.
Or when you were catching up, like we did when things were so cold and then we were trying to catch up. You were going to 24/7 during that period of time, and you were doing 1,600 gallons a minute, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's capacity. 1,600 gallons a minute is right at
Yeah,
your
we were all
capacity
over.
number. So you were all over it. So it says the plant will do its maximum capacity, but the question then becomes, okay, how long you gonna run it each day and all that? And how many people can you find
Yeah,
who's got
people
the
to watch it.
certifications and all that kind of stuff?
Contact time, and along that same, you know, we funded that joint study about the settlement ponds. Well, we're looking now at some more land there close by that maybe might be usable. Hopefully on this side of the road, but there's 5 or 6 different owners to put together enough, but there is some land for sale across the street that, you know, Yadkin owns or Alcoa. where they'll split it or not. They've been back and forth with me that they don't really want to split it, they want to sell it all as one unit, and, you know, we don't need 250 acres.
Hmm.
But if y'all wanna buy it, that's fine, you know. But, I think that would help us a lot, more settlement time,
Yeah.
when the lake's turning over and the flocculator and all that stuff, you know.
Agreed. I agree.
I think,
Mayor,
Yep.
if you don't mind.
sure,
Just to kind of address that about planning for, you know, projects and things, and that is still something that we're working with our engineers on, the AIA study. Projection this time next year, we should have projects that will be vital for the plant. So we'll know more once they finish the study, and we'll be able to get that to you guys, to let you know what we're looking at for, you know, any plan updates or replacements on equipment and things like that. So,
yeah, we're looking at putting some baffles in the basins to give it a little more time to move through. We're just not sure if that's gonna work, or it's probably a temporary fix, but it might help
I'm good.
the process of the plant.
Yeah, if you increase the time that it takes for that gallon of water to flow through the plant, you can be assured that it will be better and
Yeah.
easier to flocculate, better for coagulation, all those other technical names and everything. But if you, we would prefer, and we're willing to pay for extra people to be added, we would prefer you go to 724 instead of running 210s. Now, that may be a manpower problem or
Yeah.
a person power problem.
And
to
that
do
is part of it.
Because if you are running 1,800 gallons a minute and could go from 210s to 3/8s along the way, you slow down that flow going through that same flocculation space by 300 gallons a minute. And 300 gallons a minute, it makes a huge difference, especially in cold weather.
Yeah.
To do that. And so we think that is a better investment than putting in tube settlers. Tube settlers, $100,000, $200,000, depending who you talk to.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't know that it's going to cost that much money to go 24/7. You all know that. I don't know what
Yeah.
your numbers are to go 24/7.
And that's
And
something-
actually, pardon me, and actually, I've heard the term that we are stressing your plant. Anytime you slow the flow down, you are unstressing the plant. So you are having better control, less stress on the pieces of equipment that are in the plant when you can run everything slower. And if you can go to 3 shifts, 8 hours a day, you could save almost 25% of the flow going through the plant at any given time. Increase the filtration rate, do those things.
Yeah, like-
But it's not our job to tell you what to do, we're just saying that's one
Sure,
idea that
we're open to anything, I mean, everybody's. we
So,
don't-
Scotty, what do you think your biggest crutch at the water plant is? Is it manpower? I mean, is that what's limiting y'all to, is that what's hurting you?
It's not hurting us bad, I don't think. It's more contact time than anything. Rushing the water through there, then we have to wash the filters longer, more often.
Right.
Wash the filters, you have to take the plant down for 3 hours or whatever.
So a clear well would definitely,
Well,
a
settlement
settlement
pond,
pond
yeah.
would definitely benefit us more than anything.
sure,
But we'd have to have space to do it.
yeah. And in different ways, and Darryl Whitney's right, that if you wanna increase your plant or whatever, they want you to have more on-site water. The lake doesn't count, they want you to have it on-site, is that right?
Yeah, that's right, yes.
So these settlement ponds would sort of do a double deal. With,
Well, settling basins help you in so many different ways. It slows the water down, so you get some settling in the
Settle
pond
before
itself,
you get-
before
before you
you
cross
even
it.
get the water into the plant. Second, it gives you storage capacity.
Right.
That is, if the pump stations at the river go out for a day, a half a day, or whatever it happens to be, you got some cushion in that settling pond to be able to treat for another 2 days or 3 days, depending upon how big that pond is sized to be. And we talked before, when we were looking at putting it right next to the plant, if you can't get at least a week extra cushion, then it's not worth millions of dollars to build it.
Right.
Even though you can get a little settling out of it, you can't get it all done. But, so it'll be interesting as to how big Wooten says it needs to be. We think it needs to be 2 weeks supply, because if you have a major outage and you have to order pieces and parts, this plant is a plant that's similar to lots of other plants in North Carolina. It's not dramatically different, but some of the older parts are not on the shelf anymore. And so you have to wait for them to be made in order to do that. And if you're gonna do that, you could be out for a week.
Yeah, and that's another reason we need interconnection somewhere.
Right. When you talk about, if I can add to
Sure.
the discussion, when you talk about interconnections, the Sid Road interconnection with Davidson Water that we have tested it, and right now we can get 225 gallons a minute out of that connection. That connection is, for some reason, when it was made or built, this 6-inch pipe on one side, 8-inch pipe on the other side, and a 3-inch meter. So, I don't know why it was thought like that, but it was. So we have said, if we put in a 6-inch meter, so there's no bottleneck, what could we get? Calculations that Charlie McGugan has done says we can get 300 gallons a minute out of that connection. 300 gallons a minute is 430,000 gallons a day that could be used for us.
Right.
Some way, some combination. And we have a little bit of ARPA money left over for where we were redoing the tanks. Remember, we redid 2 of the tanks. We have a little bit of ARPA money left over. We think the state will let us use that leftover money to go retrofit and upgrade that connection. And that will give us 400,000 gallons, because they told us they would give us 300 gallons a minute. That will keep them from suffering upstream with some of their customers. Don't want to suck their customers dry while they're sending us water. So we have the board has already authorized that to be done. And so we have been told by Davidson Water that'll be completed by the end of the year. Now, the production is probably going to be even faster than that, but then getting all the payments done, because that ARPA money has to be spent before the end of this year. And so, as a result.
And I believe me and you talked one time about interconnection across Highway 8 Bridge. Don't you interconnect with Davidson anywhere there, or is there a possibility there?
We have permission from DOT to put a pipe under the new bridge that's there. We think that we have other better options than to go, because from the new bridge up to the connection at 8 is really, really rocky. And as a result of that, it's very expensive to make that connection over the Jack Neal plant that's over there. So this board has said, let's put that off. We still, the most critical, in the past, they wouldn't let us put a pipe under the bridge, but now we have written permission to put a pipe under the bridge. So we're just waiting to see where that fits in our analogy, or in our analysis of all of this. So right now, there's no plans to get water from Jack Neal plant. We're looking at other options.
But what about number 8? Can you get water from Davison up there?
No, well, out there, the head is different for Sid Road than it is out there.
Okay.
Right now, we're getting 35 gallons a minute when that connection is wide open out there. And so, that's hardly worth.
Yeah, that's not.
So, but we're being told that if we put a booster station over there, that we could probably get 130 gallons a minute, 140 gallons a minute out of that. So between 140 there and 300 up there, we could maybe get 400 to 500 gallons a minute to serve the north side of town. And the contract that we just approved, or we just dotted an I across the T to make sure the state is happy with all the forms, is we have a contract. We have approved the contractor. Morgan Construction is going to do that job. That is 2 miles of new 12-inch pipe. One is on Klopman Mill Road to connect to 109 and get around town with a 12-inch line to get water down south when we need it down south from the North Main tank. We're doing that. So it's possible that we could have both those connections on if we really were in a big need situation. And I'm saying it, if you all don't want to be a part of that, then we need to sit down and let's talk about that. What does it mean? Because the booster pump that would need to be out Flat Swamp in order to get water into you, be close to get it to you right off of Flat Swamp.
Yep.
And everything. That's probably going to be $250,000 to build that booster pump. And that would get us up to 125 or 30 gallons a minute. And if you're at 80,000 gallons a day, then that 100 gallons a minute would
Yeah.
go a long ways to helping both of us in the
Sure.
process.
And I'm more thinking about if our plant was, heaven forbid something really happened, you know, we're both out, you know. That would help us both. That's something we need to talk about in the quarterly meetings or something. I know we can't hash it out tonight, but just wanna put it on everybody's mind, I mean.
You should also know that we have had negotiations with Montgomery County. They came to us and asked about having a connection with us. Well, if we do that, we've talked about a bi-directional pump station that would connect Blaine, if you know where their tank is, right
Yeah.
above, right toward Troy above Blaine connection there. Connect there into Shamrock, which is the first subdivision in our area. We could put a bi-directional pump station in that area. And when they need water, we could send them water. When we need water, maybe there's a break in the line at one of our locations close to Shamrock. Well, when we have to cut a system off, we have to cut everybody off. And it would be great to be able to have water coming from 2 directions.
Sure.
The people in Montgomery County seem to be interested in chatting with us. In the last conversations, they said, yes, we want to hook this thing up. We have some leftover money from our contract that we're talking about, Morgan Construction, putting in some pipelines. And we've talked about putting in another tank, a ground tank over in the area around Lake Shore that would give us another 500,000 gallons of capacity at the lake. So if you had a minor shutdown, we'd have another 500,000 gallons we can work off of until you got your shutdown
Yep.
back up and going, kind of thing. And so then if we had Montgomery County hooked to us and we were having a break somewhere around Lake Shore, we could still serve 3 neighborhoods around the lake without having to shut all the water off to everybody like that. So that helps everybody.
Everybody, yeah, I agree.
Sorry, didn't mean to
Oh, that's
go
fine.
too far off of your target.
I have trouble keeping on track anyway. Angel, you got anything?
No, I know that Daryl and I spoke, or you had emailed last week, about the cost of water, and, just kind of pointing out and sharing that it was with the, increase in labor, a lot of that is through having to train and staff. We are not able to find very many people who are certified to be water plant operator. And so last year we did have 3 different trainees. They worked a 6-month period before they were licensed, and only one of the 3 was licensed and stayed with us. So it does cause an increase, and then we did have a period of time last January and February where we had overtime, again, due to cold weather and the flock not happening in our basins correctly. But, I have asked our auditor to give us a little bit more detail on those figures so that we can clarify that for y'all.
And I guess the increase in sludge
Yes.
disposal was because of turnover, because the water, because it had been running on $4,000 or something dollars.
Because we didn't do it the year before, basically, we didn't do it the year before.
Basically,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
That was basically it. This past budget year, we actually, we couldn't do the land application the year before. They tried to schedule it out, and for whatever reason, there was a change, they didn't get that done. So then, trying to get everything dried out, so we use drying bags. Once you dry them out, then you have to remove them. And so that was a large process to try to take care of all the sludge that was there. We actually even redid, one of the lagoons, cause it had, over the years had sludge that had settled in, and it should be our clear water going back out, so that's taken care of and rebuilt. But, then the land application itself, they're running, for the water plant, they're running about $20,000 per land app. And, that's one thing I think we said that we really need to look into another process, either a centrifuge, system so that it dries out the sludge and then it could just be disposed of. And the front cost is a lot, but ultimately it may be a better option than the sludge removal like we're doing now.
I guess we were surprised that the previous year it was $4,000 for sludge removal, and this year it was $40,000 for sludge removal.
We
I
were
mean,
too.
Yeah.
10 times as
Yeah.
much for 1 year is sort of like throws up a flag. Well, why? Why is that? So I guess my question to you, Angel, is do you expect $40,000 again this year on this next budget?
No.
Or was that a one-time thing that will occur every 3 or 4 years kind of thing?
It could possibly be a 3 to 4 year period. Like I said, going forward, we're trying to figure out what's gonna be our best option as far as taking care of the sludge. When they take the process of removing the sludge, we're really hauling a lot of water with that, so it's the number of hogs that have to be out. Our plant operator would rather do that quarterly than twice a year, but, it depends on weather, especially applying to the fields. One of the biggest things, the reason for that increase is just because they could not land out last year. So if you take 20,000 out of last year, the year before, it would have been the regular amount. So I think we just, if we're
Closer to it.
closer to it. So I think if we just stay on track and on schedule with the land app company, then we should be fine until we find a better option. So,
Has Wooten give you any clues at this point as to what they're thinking?
no, they haven't. They're still in, the infrastructure part of it. They have different teams working on water and sewer. The teams that are in the field have been very active, and then the plant overall assessment has taken place. They're gonna come back out and run testing on it to see, you know, if we do this, what will happen. On the water plant side especially, they're wanting to get the hydraulic portion of it completed, so then that way they know the end result. Now let's look at the beginning and see what we can do to improve that. So they're just now looking at the hydraulic system itself. So it's projected out to be completed next summer. If I'm saying that right, I think it's next summer when we would have a complete final report.
Okay. Not this summer, not 26, but 27?
27,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
We're trying to push them along.
Yeah, we've asked as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But those were the two things that we saw that were new.
Right.
New. Excess for sludge removal, and then there were 2 office people that have been added to the list and that had never been a part of the list before.
Okay.
That was that. So we were just asking for clarification
Okay.
for those 2.
And I did send that to our auditor, so as soon as I have that, and I think, our attorney is also asking for what he uses to do the calculations, because some of it is on a percentage basis, it's not based on the full amount, it's just, I think there's, especially on salaries, maybe it's 25%. that you'll see listed out. So,
I think it spells out who
yeah.
that comes from.
Exactly, so what we'll do is, once we have the, diagram he uses to pull those figures, we'll provide that to you, so you know where it's coming from.
I guess, Lisa, this was the first time that we even sent you back a request for additional information in a couple of years or so. So, in the past, the process has worked okay
Yeah.
as far as we were concerned.
And the same
And it was
auditor, as
just
far as I
that-
know,
Yeah, it is.
unless Alan did it some and now,
Other than it was such a big jump this year.
Yeah.
Cost of water's always been handled by Eddie Carrick. He and another auditor work on our financial audits, but he does the cost of water.
Yeah.
So, he's done it for numerous years. Again, it was, and I think if you look back at other audits, and I'll be glad to pull the sludge area, cause that was a huge increase, but, there was several years that the cost was very minimal. So I don't think we did a land application for about 2 or 3 years there, and they were having some issues with
it was
it.
45 last year, 35 the year before, and 4,000 the year before, I think.
Yeah, so, we've had to, over the past 2 to 3 years, do a catch-up with things that were just in the, lagoon itself.
So it shouldn't be that much.
A little, no, and a little bit of it is the design of the, lagoon. It's, it doesn't drain out as properly as it needs to, so the staff's been having to put a little extra manpower into making sure that it stays clear. But going forward, we should be fine.
In digging back, looking over how this contract got made, when Lisa actually found the other document, there was some discussion in that talked about sludge removal and sludge improvement of the process, and that was in 2014 and 15. So we just didn't make any changes at that point in time, or?
I believe that had to do with the upgrades that were taking place in 14 and 15, which y'all will have to help me with, it was a little bit before my time, but, they did add the drying beds at that time, that was part of the upgrade, and for whatever reason, the drying beds themselves are not constructed the way that they should have been, so that has contributed to some of the problems with the sludge removal itself. It's supposed to decant water, send the water back, the clear water, to the lagoon to be, sent to the creek. But the way that it was constructed, it doesn't always work that way, so we've had to kind of figure out the best way to make them work with what we have right now. So that's part of what we're looking at, is would the centrifuge work better for us, kind of eliminating the drying beds, or would it work to add a drying bed that would be properly working? But that was part of the upgrades that they did in 14-15.
We would be very interested in Wooten's suggestions about centrifuge or belt presses.
Yes.
There are several options to help dry the thing. Every one of them are very expensive and difficult to operate, and so it's a big leap when you decide to go to that direction to make it function in a less expensive way, to make it, when you figure the debt service you're paying on the piece of equipment, and what you have to do in order to train the operators and all that stuff, makes it very expensive.
Yeah, I think a lot of plants do have, like Vanderman Dam water plant, it has the belt.
Yeah.
We visited it 20 years ago, or whatever, talked about it then, you know?
Now, the belt presses actually came out before
Yeah.
centrifuge systems came out, and as a result, centrifuge actually better, but they're, when you look how fast they spin, you realize why they're so difficult
Why they're
to
like
keep,
that.
keep operating.
That was my main topics. Charlie, Darryl?
Well, let's talk about the bill that we owe you. The October? No,
It's October 1st, for September.
For September. That's when we had the lake turnover. And as a result, we asked, the difference in the bill. I think Angel and I both did some research along with Lisa's help. And for that bill, that was the biggest bill in that month we'd ever had. prompting is from the lake turnover and the extra water that we both had to push on the ground.
Right.
And so we said, can we get a credit on part of this bill? And the answer that we heard first was no. And we said, can we get you to reconsider that? And then the next message I hear is from your attorney that, or maybe it was from Angel telling me what their attorney had said, and that the attorney said, couldn't give us a credit because you didn't give all your other customers a credit. We're not your customer. We are your partner.
That's right.
The contract uses 3 words. You're the seller, we're the purchaser, and we are your partner.
Use
Or
the
we,
4 word.
both of us
Use
are
the
partners.
4th word you missed, cost. You
Well,
get it at cost.
No,
That-
I'm
that-
talking, I'm sorry, Mayor, I'm saying the only descriptions of anybody who are in this contract are those 3 words: seller, purchaser, and then partner.
Yeah.
So when we ask our attorney to look at it, we get a different response. And our attorney suggests that because we have a contract between us and we are partners, there is no inhibition for you all to give us a credit just because we are customers, because we're not customers. This contract controls, and as a result of that, our attorney says there's no problem with the town making a decision. And I understood that you all made that decision because you didn't want to have to give everybody a credit in the process. Well, we don't think giving us a credit has any indication of whether you have to give your other customers a credit process. And we just sent you the amount of water, well, you saw how much water was, and we looked at the difference between there. We never asked for a specific number, we just asked, could we get a credit for the thing, for the bill? The bill was $15,000 larger for this month, or that month, than it was the same month the previous year. And when you look back, it's, the new invoice was 63,000, the old invoice had been 48,000. So we didn't tell you what we thought we should have a credit for, we just asked, could we have a credit? And we're still asking the same question, can we have a credit for a part of that bill?
And as far as I know, our position hasn't changed, that we sell y'all water at cost, actual cost. And we don't feel like we should lose money to sell y'all water at cost.
I hear you, Mayor, and let me add,
We can agree to disagree, you know?
It's a defective product.
no. Well,
The product wasn't defective, it just said cloudy, but it wasn't defective. I mean, it was, all the tests were good, it may have been colored a little bit, but all the tests showed good.
let's maybe debate this issue. I'm sorry, you don't sell us product at cost. You sell us at cost plus. And the reason you do is because this calculation that's done is based on cost. There's cost. But in addition to that, we pay another 21 cents 1,000 gallons for commitments that we have made to you for debt service for 2 repairs, one in 1993 and one for the upgrades that were done 2013, 14, and 15. And that adds another 21, 26, 20, depending on how you calculate, in the 20s on top of that.
And you're still getting more than 50% of a discount on the water than any other customer we have.
I'm sorry, I missed your comment, I didn't hear what you said.
You're still getting water 50% cheaper than any other customer that we have.
But that's the number and the formula that we use to calculate it based on the contract. We're not doing anything different, we're not getting it below the contracted price, we're getting it at the contracted price. But we pay every year $49,000 for one payment and another one that's split into two parts that we pay.
We only have one debt set off that we split with you guys.
Just the
Um,
49,000.
Yeah, it's a $95,000 payment that we split in half, cause the payment's due like May or June,
Yes.
but it's
The
only one
other
debt
is-
service.
The other one he's talking about goes way back. We had a USDA loan that we took out ourselves that was for plant.
Oh, okay.
For
improvements.
$700,000.
We're still paying on that.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
the other one,
That's-
yeah.
that
That's
goes
the
in
other
that.
one,
Yeah.
So, but
You
it's
don't
been
go
two
there.
different times.
I understand, I just didn't.
Yeah.
Two different times, Angel, that we're talking about.
Okay,
There was
I was
an
not
agreement
aware of
in
that.
1993 that we helped, and if you read the 1993 numbers, it says for this repair and upgrade only, and we took on that responsibility, we borrowed $700,000. And we have paid all the debt service for, since 1993, we have 3 more payments left on that debt service. So that will be $700,000 that we paid toward upgrades to the plant. And then this one that you're talking about, that's $99,000 each year, is divided in half. We pay half, we send you a check for half, and you pay the other half, and you pay I think you pay the whole account, and you just take half of our money to pay half of it for
Right,
you.
yes, what that.
And that one is $1.9 million, I believe, that the borrowing amount was there. Now, that goes all the way to 2033, or 35. That debt
Same as the
goes-
contract, I think the contract runs with that, isn't
It
it?
is.
Yes, that's right. So, if you take the debt service on those two accounts that we helped make improvements to the plant, you can add another 20-some cent per 1,000 gallons. So we're not getting this at cost, we're getting it at cost plus, because we are paying for those debt services that were upgrades to the plant that we're talking about. So, I just, my board, we've looked over this set of numbers very carefully, and I think it's a misnomer to say we get it at cost.
Well, we'll agree to disagree, how's that?
Okay. Well, if you disagree, tell us why you disagree, so we understand the logic
Well,
that we're working with.
We wouldn't have had to upgrade had it not been for y'all. We would not need to do the upgrade because we don't use that much water. I mean, maybe would have needed to upgrade, but not as extensive. Cause we're in the contract for y'all 1 million gallons a day. And we're using 1 million, how much we're using a day?
Right, for us or the system?
Just us,
Just us, probably,
100,000?
yeah, it depends, well, this time of year,
Yeah,
Okay. But we also helped fill the gap for you. I don't know exactly what date it was, when Klopman Mill closed down.
right.
And when the furniture factory closed down, you lost 2 big customers, at my understanding. I don't know the numbers, but
Yeah.
I understood.
Not
that
necessarily
you-
furniture, but when Clover Mill closed down, we lost a big customer.
And so, you didn't make all of those increases for us, because Klopman Mills was using a lot of water when they were here, and we helped you fill that gap, was doing that. So to suggest that you just increased the plant just for us, you must have increased that plant for Klopman Mill, because the 1993 contract that preceded the one we're working on, the
Right.
1993 contract, Klopman was still in operations back in those days. And
Yeah.
it was still going at that point in time. So that improvement wasn't just for us, it was for Klopman and the furniture factory and the growth in your community and all of those things that was going on back in 1993, that 700,000 was spent to do. So I'm not certain that we think that all of this increase is just because of us. Now, it is. I would hope that you like the idea that you're selling us a lot of water, that you wanna sell us a lot of water.
Some days more than others.
Well, I mean, when you look at the contract, it says minimum 400,000.
Right.
Up to 1.125 million gallons per day based on the 30-day
30-day.
average, like that. So that was part of the contract that was done 15, not 15, years ago.
In 15, I think it was.
In 2015, July, yes. So to suggest that it was all because of us, seems like it's not just been because of all of us. And I thought that's what good partners do, we help each other along the way.
We will take it under advisement. I don't think we're gonna clear it up tonight, but we will look at it again.
Well, our attorney and probably your attorney give you the same advice ours did. Don't make any decisions tonight.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
talk about it and just talk about
Yeah,
it.
she
what we
told me to
talk
watch
about.
what I say, so
But
I understand. I don't know where you understand my side, but I understand your side.
I do understand
Yeah.
your side, yeah. I don't have any clue as to why the premium charge was left out of the contract. But the idea, once you go over 1.125 per month.
Yep.
I saw the language just like you did, but for some reason it was left out.
Yeah, I
And
wasn't here then, so.
And until now, is the first time we've ever had that idea resurrected, as far as we know. And help us understand. If we go over that on a regular basis so that you are producing $1 million plus for us all the time along the way, you're still not even close to 80% of your capacity of that plant.
But you are over 100% of what we have to give you guys and what we are contracted to give you guys.
You're exactly right. And I'm saying, isn't it to your benefit to sell us more?
It will be.
Not
But
a
not
cost.
at a
Not at
premium
cost.
price.
At the premium price, it will be very beneficial for us.
But but our argument is, in order for you to sell us 1 million gallons all the time, or so that it's 34, 35 million gallons, because that number, 1.125, is 34 million or so for a month.
33,750,000.
Okay, so, pardon me, I just rounded it off to 34.
I understand.
So, okay, in order to sell us more than 34, it's easy for you all to do, with the one exception, is manpower. If you ran 7/24, 3 shift, you would have no difficulty in producing and running and giving or selling us more than that. Well, if you do that, and you add more people, we're going to pay for those extra people. So that's the point we're making for you. So the fact that
How much are you gonna pay for those extra people?
whatever it costs is
Cost of water.
calculated in the cost calculation that has been set up for all this period
The
of time.
next year,
For any time.
because we don't know cost for this year, because this year's not finished. So you're not gonna pay that cost until the next year. That will be a new rate.
Well, there is a clause in the contract
There
that
is.
says that if we're increasing the cost by more than 5% of the projected cost, there's a square up, if you wanna call it that, where you square up at the end of the year period of time. We've never had a square up, never, in the years that that I've been here, the 10 years. Maybe Angel knows more about
We're
square
supposed to
up.
always do a square up. I know in the past, we've had to give back.
You gave us something back?
Yeah, we credited you.
The only thing that that we may be mentioning is when cost of water is given to us just like now, then we go back to the August billing and bill the difference. And then year end, you contribute to invoices of maintenance and things like that to keep that cost down. But, since I've been here, I don't think we've looked at it as a square up.
We have never
You
in the
know,
10 years.
Lisa, I know
Isn't
you
that
and I
what the
used to work.
contract reads though?
We
It
worked on
does,
it together, so I don't.
but
do it.
nobody's ever talked
Just
about
like
it.
what you said.
Goes back
Yeah.
12 months, I think the contract reads.
Yeah.
Is that right, Darryl?
It's, I think
You
the
guys have
contract
finished all
says
it.
that at the end of the year,
That's
if
right.
the cost has been greater than 5% over what was estimated the cost to be, then there was a chance to square up. If it was under by 5% or less, then there was a way for you all to give us money back. We have never had a negotiation or a contract discussion about that since I've been here. Lisa, she's been here 20 years, it's
No,
never
just like
happened.
what she said, yeah.
And so that clause in the contract, Mayor, has
Yeah.
been just sort of overlooked. I don't know why it was overlooked, but it's never been mentioned to me, and until we started digging into this contract, I didn't even look at that clause, because it's just never happened before. There's never been a time that there was a square up to do that. But back to your point, if we calculate, and if you need 3 new people or 4 new people to go to 24/7, so that you're running 3 eight-hour shifts instead of 2 10s, so that you can run more water through, you'll get paid for those people, because they'll be a part of the calculation that we do every year. And that, once you make that calculation, we agree to it, and then we send it back to you, and we pay retroactive back to July 1st. So Angel always gives a check after she sends us an invoice for the retroactive amount. Now this
And
year.
that's where I was thinking about the square up.
Right, I think that is, I think that's what the reference was.
But that's just because the number changes
Yeah.
from one year to the next, that you get retroactive pay. And
But-
this year, it was a little later to get your numbers, because the state gave the auditors another 2.5 months
Yeah,
to
they
get
gonna take
the
it.
audit completed, and you all hadn't had a chance to get your auditor, your auditors to do the calculation.
Correct.
We're not complaining that you waited longer. Now, it's a big check now, it's 83,000 that we're gonna be sending you because of the difference based on the new calculated rate that we're talking about. So the idea of a premium suggests anything over 1.125 to charge a premium rate for is double dipping as far as we're concerned, because the only way you can get there is to hire more people to put them on to 3 shifts. And if you do that, if you put more people on, we're gonna pay for those people, because it's gonna be a part of the calculated cost.
In the contract prior to this one, we always billed you over.
As far as we know, you've never billed us, have you?
Yeah, we have.
There
Prior to
are-
the 15 contract, we did.
There
It was
used to be a
million gallons per day,
Mhm.
and we read them every day at that time. And if you went over 100,000, it was a different price.
I did come across some invoices that showed that, where it was a
Yeah, I know
daily
that.
calculation.
Okay, then that's not something I've ever seen.
It's for your time.
Yeah, and we'll go back and see if we can look
Yeah.
and see something similar to that.
I'm not sure in the contract where it said how much the overage was, but in the contract prior to this one, it did say, when you go over, where this one says 1.25 in a
Yep.
30-day period, that one said $1 million per day. At that time, we both read them daily, together at the same time. And
We
you-
still read them though.
Yeah, and if you went over whatever amount, there was a different figure for the overage amount.
Okay,
I think I do remember that, since he's saying that, that's been a long
It's
time
been-
ago.
Yeah.
Because it's not in the new contract.
No,
so
it's not in
it
the new
hasn't been done
contract, it's
since
not, it was left
2015.
out for some reason,
Yeah.
and I don't have any idea why it was.
and it don't address
So
it
that's
one way, shape, or
11
form,
years.
if I understand it correctly.
That's right. And so we are paying what we believe we should be paying. I'm sorry, see you head shaking.
I completely disagree. This is the amount of water that we are contracted to sell you. Anything over that, I feel like we are completely in the right to charge you a premium on.
Okay.
We have exceeded our obligation at that point in this contract.
My question is, would you like to sell me more water than that?
Yes. At the premium.
You would like to sell us more water than that? Because if you're saying, I don't wanna sell you more than that, then I got a big job to do. I gotta go find somebody who will sell me water over that, because in the future, we're probably gonna be buying more than 1 million gallons a day. And if we buy more than 1 million, it's gonna be over that 33 plus
Right.
total for a month. So, I mean, the question then becomes if you don't want to sell us.
We wanna sell you that, we just don't wanna sell it to you at what we perceive as cost.
Okay.
I mean, there could be some negotiation, I'm sure it's gonna be less than Davidson Water, were they $5 a thousand?
Yeah, we don't have a contract with Davidson.
Yeah.
We have an emergency connection to Davidson.
And we're at $1.85, we're going to $2.15.
20% increase.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing that. I'm saying, but if you're going to charge a premium on top of that, and if we go and find ourselves that 9 or 10 months of the year, we're going to exceed that 1.125 number, then I'm obligated to this board to say, is there another water source someplace else that I don't have to pay the premium?
Sure, I understand.
And so, I mean, the people at Montgomery have said, if we make this connection, we'd like to sell you some water. And I said, well, right now, it doesn't help me to sell any water because we've got a
Yeah.
contract with you all. But if you say, I don't want to sell you that water unless I pay you a premium for it,
Well, the premium's probably gonna be less than you got from them anyway.
well, best thing to do is to know what that premium is so that we can decide.
But y'all don't know what the premium is.
We don't have a premium price.
You know. Yeah. Well, I guess that's what we need to know is what the
I
premium.
mean, we
would
had
be.
one at the old contract,
Right.
and everybody knew what it was, and it was set, you know.
Mhm.
We're making good progress. At least we know what each one thinks.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good forum for this, and then when we get down to the quarterly meetings, which we need to schedule, I'd like to schedule tonight, we can get deeper in the weeds, so to speak.
Okay.
I mean, I think everybody needs to know what's going on, but maybe a smaller group can negotiate or talk about it and get more into it.
Are there other things on the contract that concerns you all?
Cost of water, the 1.25 a day, the 12 months, I wasn't there when this last contract was done, and I don't understand going back 12 months yet.
What do you mean by going back to?
Settling up.
Settling up. I don't think we've done that, and I
Settling
think we have been wrong by not doing that.
Okay.
And I've gotta get some clarification on that, so I can understand it, and maybe you understand it better than I do.
I'm not saying I do, I'm just saying,
It's
I
in
know
the-
what, I
it's
know
in
what
the
the words of the
contract.
contract says.
It's in
Yeah.
the contract that it
Yeah.
says.
And I know it's there, and my guess is, it's been rare that we've ever been above 5% or less than 5% of the estimated cost that went into the calculation.
Yeah, but we
And
are
if-
now,
and-
we're at that point now.
Tell us how you're above 5% over the
Well, it
estimated
went up
cost.
20%,
But you're going to get paid for that.
but
because you
not
just
back
increased
the whole
cost.
year, we're just getting back till July. Am I correct or not?
No, you're getting
We're getting back to July, but we're not getting the prior, that was the cost of water of last year. So, now maybe, I'm thinking, we're a year behind the cost of water.
but we've increased water price every year.
If I may, Mayor.
Sure.
So, what we've looked at is that we've just given you guys the new cost of water. That was based on figures from the expenses and everything for the fiscal year 24-25.
Right.
So, as we have, since I've been with the town, it's been that cost is given to you, and that's the cost of water for the fiscal year 25-26. But
Right.
technically, those expenses occurred in 24-25. And so for that whole year, we really have sold water at a loss because we didn't know what the expenses would be. But now that we know, we're not going back to that fiscal year and capturing what and I've looked at it, some years it was a loss and some years it would be a credit back as we have done before. So I'm not saying it's always that we're losing money, but maybe there are years that is to your benefit as well. But we're only capturing current year, so 24-25 was paid based on 23-24 expenses.
So what I think I heard you say is that you want us to go back and fix a situation that is 2 years old. That is,
No,
Oh,
not 2
which-
years. So,
so which period?
You're just
of
wanting to
time
look at this going forward, is what you're saying.
No.
Well, the contract reads 12 months,
Okay.
and I interpret that to go back 12 months. Is that the way you interpret it?
Well, I thought we were working on a fiscal
Fiscal
year
year.
basis because we set a new cost every fiscal year.
So that's
Not-
what comes to my mind is how do you justify that, cause we budget for a fiscal year? And then if we come up after we've closed the fiscal year and all of a sudden we have a big expense that goes back to a prior year, you've already done, all that you've done already submitted to the state, your financial statements. I mean, we strive real hard to get a fiscal year all booked in the correct year, so I'm thinking in my mind, how would that work even budget-wise? It's not,
it would be
Really?
difficult.
yeah, it's difficult.
But in looking at the contract, when we were talking about the paragraph that speaks of the 5%, that's where it does say the prior 12 months. So, it says adjustments to the previous 12-month payments made pursuant to this section by the same percentage as the difference between the projected and the actual. So that's why it seems like, and like I said, we've always looked at it as whatever the cost of water is for that current. The cost of water we gave you now is actually what the true cost of water was for last year. It's not this year, and then the same will be for next
That's
year.
how it's always
So,
been.
So do your numbers give you the indication that if we had been working on this process that says plus or minus 5%, that we would have been paying you more? Is that what your numbers suggest?
no, not taking the 5% into consideration, it's just looking at, like, currently right now, the cost of water rate is $2.15
Right.
that we presented to you based on the audit findings for the 24-25 year. So when you look at that, based on what the contract reads, is to go back at the previous 12 months. So the previous 12 months of, that would be the previous fiscal year, not previous 12 months as of where we are right now.
You're saying it should go back from July 1 of 2024 to June 30th of 2025.
Correct. Yes, because it's just like,
If we've actually taken a loss on that year because of the expenses we've paid out, but we've not collected for that. Am I stating that correctly?
so,
So are those expenses that you should have sent us so that we paid 50% of those unforeseen maintenance expenses you're
No,
talking about?
it's just like, with, I think our attorney used the best example is when you have a mortgage and you're doing escrow, you pay in monthly your escrow amount, but your taxes go up and your insurance go up. So then your mortgage company sends you a bill for that extra fee, or they're going to increase your payment to accommodate for the overages. And so that's, looking at that, if our escrow was $100, but the true expense was $150, then somehow they're gonna have to capture that additional $50. And that's either by, us contributing more monthly to make up for that difference, or you pay that lump sum of whatever was in addition to.
And so, do your preliminary calculations that you've made on that period that you're talking about show that the unrecovered expenses were greater than 5% of the annual estimated cost?
I have not looked at it to that point.
Because if it's not greater than 5%, then there is no adjustment.
Okay.
because the contract says plus or minus 5%, has to be greater than 5% of what you estimate it was going to be, or else there's no adjustment. Do you disagree, or, I mean, is that what you understand from your attorney? It is greater?
I will look at it based on the 5% plus or minus.
Get me in the right pew here. If the water cost $1.85, and now it's going to $2.15, isn't that more than 5%?
Yeah, that's 15%,
Yeah.
because that's what the increase is this year, is 15, no, it's more than 15.
It's 20%.
20%.
So isn't that, am I right, or?
Yeah, for this year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
this year right now, that's what I'm.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm dealing with right now, this year.
It's page 3, Daryl, section B.
Oh, here it is. Rates in this section should be based on a projected annual proportionate operating cost, which shall be calculated by the seller's town auditor and reviewed by the purchaser's auditor at the end of each budget year. So it's from one fiscal year to the next, is what we're talking about. If the actual proportionate operating cost exceeds the projected proportional operating cost by greater than 5%, or less than projected cost, less than 5%, then the next billing statement should adjust to reflect the increase or decrease of the adjustment. Or the 12 monthly payments could be made to pay it off instead of having to pay one big lump sum if you had to do that. So what we would need to do, so Angel, help me with this part of it to make sure I understand. We would need to go back to the numbers that you all sent us for that year, where you were changing the rate for that year. And there's a total calculation of how many dollars for line item, line item, line item. We take that total, and then you give us all of those same line items for what you actually spent. And if that number is greater than 5% greater than the number that was projected on that line item, then we owe you that number. But if it's less than 5%, it's a wash. We don't owe you anything. Did you all not read it that way?
So you're stating that on the cost of water, if each line item did not increase by 5%?
No, not each line item.
Okay.
The total at the bottom of the page, when you send Lisa and I that document, it has a total amount that you estimate it cost, and then you take that total amount and divide it by the millions of gallons that we are projecting that we used the previous year. And that calculates as to how we do the monthly cost, or the estimated cost. But if you take that same number, then you take your real cost and compare it to that, it has to be greater than 5% of that number. And I don't have those numbers in front of me.
I don't either, so if we can, I mean, can we continue this to our quarterly meeting?
Sure.
So that we can look at it in depth with figures? I think that would be better than just us, stating it. So we will definitely look into that and communicate back and forth about it, if that's okay.
With the numbers going up 20%, you might be right on this year only.
Yeah, this year's what I'm talking about right now. I mean, that's what I'm dealing with today.
But for 10 years, we've never used this process, never used this before.
I didn't say we had, but that don't mean we shouldn't have.
And our attorney actually saw that, we got to, at our last meeting, saw that right there was a problem that we had that we needed to straighten out.
We just need to understand it.
Yeah.
For both of us.
Yeah, and understand it and figure out how it needs to be, to fit into the fiscal year, so it fits into your.
Sure, the
budget,
lawyers won't worry
into your
about the fiscal
budget.
year, I'm sure. When
I
they-
know,
when
no,
they
no,
wrote
but
it.
we are.
Yeah, they
We
wouldn't worry
are.
about that.
We have to do a lot of explaining to the state if we
Yeah,
don't
they
stay
would just
in
worry about
that
the
big-
whereas and therefores.
Yeah.
Well, it says budgeted period.
Yeah.
It says the budgeted period, which is the period of the fiscal
Yeah.
year.
Exactly.
So there's no doubt as to which period we have to be looking at.
Yeah.
And the numbers that we get sent after the auditor reviews them is the total of all those line items together. That estimate is divided by the number of millions of gallons it's estimated that we're going to purchase during that time. And that shows the new calculated rate. Well, if you take that same number of estimated expenses and look at what the real expenses were for that same period of time, if they're greater than 5%, then we owe you some money based on the contract, but not based on how it's been going for the last 10 years.
Go live and die by the contract. Seemed like.
Are there other things that you all wanna share with us?
I think that's the main thing we had on it,
Yes,
yeah.
it was.
Okay.
What about you?
No. I don't, Board, you all have any questions?
My biggest thing is, are we gonna work on the July to June, or we're gonna working on January to December? That gets me mixed up here, what you're trying to say.
The contract says fiscal year, I mean.
But, you know, a lot of your things are set up. We start our year, we start in July on to through June the next year.
Which is what we do as well.
And that's what, we need to work on that same situation, but I hear you're jumping backwards and forwards on some of this.
Well, the 12 months that, if I'm understanding correctly, the 12 months we're talking about are the rates from July 1st of 2024 to June 30th of 2025. Those 12 months is what we would be going back to, those 12 months.
I'm looking at you going back to, what we're paying back to, what was in 25.
But then that would be, a regular year, not a fiscal year.
It just says 12 months, it don't say fiscal year, it don't say annual, you know, so,
We need to get that clarified.
yeah.
Okay.
2 and 2 don't make 4 the way you're doing that way.
And I
That
see-
new math, didn't Richard?
I worked with math too many years in contracts and in construction and production work for many years. And you worked on your setup. Of course, our company I work with, we work 12 months, January through December. But then in our fire department, any government setup, it's worked on from July through June. You've got that fiscal year there that you work with. There's 2 different setups you work with, and that's what I'm saying we need to work with.
Yeah.
And excuse my voice, I'm lost in trying to get it back, but we need to get clarified how we're working this thing.
Yeah, we gotta get clarified, and we've got to work together, there's no way y'all, us, either one can operate efficiently without working together.
That's true.
I mean, that's just the brass tacks of it, it ain't gonna work no other way unless we work together. It just, and these problems come up when we don't have meetings and communicate.
That's true. And that's it, I'll use an example, that, don't get me wrong in the way I'm saying, that's just like, I'm saying if your plant goes down, and we have to get water from Davis to help you and us too, that premium, that price of the water goes up higher. And we need to work with that situation. I hope it never happens that much.
Yeah,
I know
me
it
too.
did some recently.
It's
We
going
had to
to
do
some, I mean, but hopefully it's not extended period of time. You know,
But,
a day or two now and then, where y'all turn on Davis and helps us catch the plant back up. whether there's our leaks or y'all's leaks, you know.
Either one,
Leaks kills us both, cause we ain't making no money off
I
them.
guarantee you it kills us both.
Yeah.
We had a major one the other day, and it hurt big time.
Yeah, and if the tanks are not close to being full, they can take our plant down just like that.
In a heartbeat, I understand that. Cause I know, cause my phone goes off when we have a problem with the fire department, and when that happened there, they just called for help down there to block the track, cause they had closed the road completely out there.
And these things are gonna happen to both of us.
It is, you gonna have it, we gonna have it.
Y'all just have many more lines than we do, that's
That's true. And some of your lines is extremely old. It's
extremely,
on there
yes, they are.
For many, many years, cause I can go back when the old plant was up
Yeah.
on 0109 up there when it started getting back up. Cause I can remember that a long time. I've been around here too many years to know something.
When we had the city lakes.
Yes, big time.
I do have one more question. When your attorney was asked to call our attorney, one of the very first things that she said to our attorney is that she thought that her client was interested in having a new contract. The question is, I'm assuming you are her client that she was talking to you about. Are you all wanting a new contract? Is that what you're asking for?
I don't know exactly how that would work at this point. That's just me.
Okay.
I mean, I don't, unless we want something, or y'all want something, and everybody benefits, there's probably not gonna be a new contract.
I would assume that too, since we've been operating this way for years and it seems like it's fairly successful.
Yeah, and the contract's till 2035,
Yes.
cause that's when the debt service runs out.
Yes.
And that's the reason it was structured that way, I assume. I wasn't here in 15 when it was done.
I'm with you on that assumption.
I was here with the 98 one, but I wasn't here in 15.
Mayor, if you don't mind, I think maybe, just like Richard said, there may be some areas of clarification, that if we looked at different sections and maybe agreed that the wording's not as clear, that may be what is intended, not a, complete rewrite.
Yeah, I think there are some things that I need to clarify. So everybody knows it's halfway black and white.
Well, one section that we think we need some clarification on is, it mentions a capital reserve account of $60,000 in this
Right.
contract. We think that when you read the entire contract, it says all the above aforementioned items are for maintenance, operations and maintenance. In this contract, the only word that mentions capital is that capital account. There is reason to believe that that's a misnomer.
If we don't have a capital account,
Uh,
we do.
We do.
Yes, we do.
what we have is an account that is targeted for any money that we have in our savings account, that we cannot spend that $60,000 because our
It's restricted
auditors,
funds.
it's restricted funds.
Right.
So there's always been 60,000 since the account was set up, and and we've never drawn money out of that account.
Nor have we.
Okay. But that's not a capital account. When you read the contract, it says for unforeseen maintenance expenses.
And I don't know where ours is in the budget, just as restricted or not.
Ours is restricted, and we actually have ours in a CD that's set aside just for the purpose of something major that would happen.
Okay. So it grows money.
It does.
Okay.
But my question to you all, is your opinion that it is a capital account for new projects that would be put in, that you all decide to put in, tube settlers or any other capital item? Are you envisioning that we're on the hook for half of that?
So it states that, the parties agree to establish a capital reserve account for the purpose set out above. Each party shall make a monthly contribution to the capital reserve account. The monthly capital reserve payment from each party shall be an amount equal to 2% of the monthly operation and maintenance charges of water sold by each party to third parties as calculated above. Said contributions shall continue until such time as the balance available in the capital reserve account reaches $60,000. Once a balance of $60,000 is obtained, no further contributions will be required until the balance of the capital reserve account falls below $30,000, at which time equal monthly contributions shall be resumed to continue until the balance again reaches $60,000.
Okay.
Now-
I agree with everything you just said.
Okay. So-
Read the last sentence to the previous paragraph that you just read.
Any major unforeseen maintenance expenses will be shared equally by the seller and purchaser and shall be paid first from the available capital reserve account established by the parties pursuant to this contract.
Any
Okay.
unforeseen maintenance expense
Okay.
shall be paid out of that capital reserve account, because it doesn't say a word about capital expenditures. It doesn't say if you decide that you wanna go put tube settlers in the plant. It doesn't say that we're involved in that putting tube settlers on the plant.
It does say that you're responsible for any updates that may go to the manufacturing of water. It is part of the contract that says that, but I will also say, I mean, if we wanna say that we're not adhering to the contract, then we're both not adhering, because we do not put in 2% of monthly operations and maintenance charges. As you
It says
said,
260,000.
well, absolutely, but then it says that, you know, it needs to be maintained in order to take
That
care
would be
of
another
these
thing we need to
companies.
clarify, because we've never used it, y'all never used it.
Right.
You know, it's just
so
sitting there.
I just think clarification needs
Yeah.
to be established.
So that's the point I'm making, is that we don't think this contract has anything in it for capital, nothing. And that we are required to participate in any operations and maintenance costs that are associated with it. But a new capital project is not anywhere in this contract. Even though they call this account that you set up a capital reserve account. But it is not a capital reserve account, because the sentence right before it starts that paragraph says only for unforeseen maintenance account charges. So we need some clarification for that too.
We all do. I mean, I can't clarify it tonight, I can't, you know.
Okay. All right, well, we thought we were going along well on the contract, and we were surprised, that your attorney called our attorney and said she wanted to write a new contract. And so we were sort of really surprised.
Well, I think that comes back to our communications, whether it's my fault, whose fault.
I'm not pointing the finger at anybody.
I know, but I'm saying, and you know, it comes back to, we hadn't communicated board-wise lately, or committee-wise. And normally all this stuff would have been handled in the committee.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
That's
No,
true.
no,
Okay.
Actually, the contract interprets that the two general managers, or the manager and the town manager and the general manager should try to work all these details out before it ever goes to the quarterly meeting and everything. And that's what we thought we had done when it came to this big bill that we got. Because Angel and I talked about it, were we going to get a credit for that water that was thrown on the ground? And we were assured we were. Now, whether or not that was then gone to the entire board is another whole question.
I did share that with the board, and as I shared with you, Daryl, minor adjustments can be approved by the manager, but to ask for an adjustment to go back a year was looking at a $15,000 credit, and I don't have the authority to approve that.
We never asked for $50,000.
But you did, I had that by email. In comparison to the year before, you did ask for that.
For anything.
Or whatever,
But whatever.
yeah.
Okay. I
Alright,
guess-
quarterly meetings, cause we're gonna have some, cause the only thing we have got to have each other.
Yeah.
Regardless what we bicker about and everything, let's figure them out, let's work together, we need each other, we've gotta have each other to be successful. Cause I live here and the rest of, everybody else lives here, and we gotta provide water for our customers, and y'all have to do the same thing, so. Let's figure out when we're gonna have the quarterly meetings and get rolling on figuring out the interpretation of the contract. And
Right.
see what we can work out.
Can you send us a couple dates?
Sure.
Or you want to send it, or whatever?
Sure.
Who's your committee? You and Charlie?
And Richard, it was Norman.
Okay.
It's now Richard and Charlie.
So it'll be Angel, me, and Dina.
I'll send you some dates, it won't be tomorrow because I'm out of town tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll send you some.
But we get it done, because we're in the first quarter.
Okay.
And I appreciate everybody coming out. I think this has been a productive meeting. I really do.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah.
And it's your turn to pay next time, Charlie.
We gonna go to URI Point?
Yeah, let's go to URI Point. Or Scallywags. We go to Scallywags.
Yeah.
The cafeteria's next door.
Charlie, we'll need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
I motion we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Yeah, that's that much good.
Thank you very much for your.
I enjoy
Thank y'all.
working together. We got to work together as a team. One can't pull one way and that way, it don't work. You got to work together.
No.
Never worked.
Never work.
Charlie,